Hey guys, Gamling CS here with another knife review. This is of the Benchmade 111 dive folder. Now they do have two models of the 111. They've got the 111 folder like what I have here, and they also have the 111 fixed blade, which is the same design but again just a fixed blade. This does come in two different handle scales. It comes in a bright neon yellow, which most divers prefer, and this black one, which I got. I actually picked out the yellow one, but the guy gave me this one anyway, so whatever. Let's start with construction. We've got these nice FRN handle slabs on top of stainless steel liners, very heavily textured. The outer part not so much. It's kind of like been sponge textured on the side, and then this center part is where you get most of your grip. It's bidirectional. You can see it actually has kind of waves crisscrossing back and forth. You can see that. This is actually terrible for pockets. It rips up pockets so quickly. I had to JB weld it because the first time I put it in my pocket, it already ripped it up. It's kind of ridiculous. So I would suggest sanding it down or JB welding it or fixing that in some manner that you prefer that this won't kill your clothes. It has torque screw construction and is flow-through design, which is really great for dive knives because obviously you're going to have to clean it out after every dive. Especially after every dive out here in like the Pacific, there's just so much murk and nastiness out there. You just don't want to get in gunk up and fungus and nasty and it takes a number 6, I believe, for the pivot, which is a nice size pivot, very sturdy. Has phosphorus bronze washers on top of that. Is obviously an axis lock, as I'm sure most of you have seen that. Benchmade is famous for this. They're the ones that pretty much innovated that. SOG copied them with the arc lock. Spartaco has one very similar called the ball bearing lock, or the covered ball bearing lock. It's what they have on the Manix 2. It's the same concept, and it's a bar that's holding it. Actually, Cold Steel had their Ultra Lock, which was leased by Benchmade. It's the same thing. Just it was the one it was the model they had prior to the 2010 AK-47 and Recon 1. It had this kind of lock, which I would prefer, honestly. So that's some info for you. Blade stops are really nice and centered right at the top. There's not much I can complain about this. The ergos on this are phenomenal. You have like your own separate little pinky ramp right here. It just locks in your hand really well, even without taking the ring off. You have a bit of a thumb ramp, which I prefer more a lot of a saber grip on a lot of my knives. That's how I end up using them. So I really enjoy ramps. Even as slight as this one, it's still enough that I have enough purchase to really get some pressure down on this when I'm pushing down. It has a very nice handguard, especially when you're slipping and it's covered in wet, nasty gunk or whatever. It'll still give you that nice grip, and you won't slide up and cut yourself on this blade, which is razor sharp, I gotta say. This is the nicest Benchmade factory edge I've seen. I know that's kind of bad. If you don't know, Benchmade is kind of notorious for bad grinds. Primary bevel will be fine, but the secondary, the actual cutting edge, will be terrible. It's just very uneven or not consistent throughout the whole thing. The original blade that came with this was like that. I had to touch it up. I got it to a decent edge, but this one's actually really phenomenal. I haven't even touched it up, and I've shaved with it 3 or 4 times already. Really great knife. Really great edge. The design of this knife, I find, it's a really great slicer because of this really huge primary bevel. I mean, it's a flat grind and just slowly tapers down, which gives for, again, a shallower grind and allows for better penetration and slicing. So it'd be good for food prep. That's something I was using it for, which is pretty good. Not a whole lot of belly, but enough for a lot of saw cuts if you need to do that. I prefer straight edge, which is why I prefer a lot of like Warncliffe style blades. This one's actually deemed a modified a modified sheep's foot. Yeah, can't speak. But it kind of looks like a spear point to me, more or less. It's a very nubbed spear point. Thick chunk of steel, almost an 1/8 inch of this N680 Bowler steel. Phenomenal stuff, by the way. Very rust resistant. It has a stone wash finish, which gives it really nice rust resistance, especially out in the ocean. And ambidextrous thumb studs. There's really not much else I can say about this. It's just a phenomenal knife. I haven't had any failures. Oops. Crap. Any failures with the lock, the centering's phenomenal. Just tolerances on this are incredibly tight. I know Benchmade's one of the top 3 knives, or excuse me, top 3 knife companies, producers that are out there at the moment. Wow, that is really dark. Let's see if I could change that. Nope, not so much. Just hold that. They are one of the top 3 producers, right up there with Kershaw and Spartaco. So they've definitely jumped up in my book. Obviously, this isn't one of their more famous knives like the Bone Collector or the Mini Grip. I just wanted to try this one out just to see how they do on one of their oddball knives, because sometimes you'll find the quality differs based on whether or not it's a flagship knife or it's not. And by flagship knife, I mean for Spyderco that would be like the Endura Delica series. Benchmade would be the Griptilians. Kershaw would probably be the Leak. You know, the things that people really recognize that knife for that company. And I find that it differs depending on what knife it is. Sometimes they'll have a kind of a knife that they'll try to sweep under the rug. That's what I kind of feel this one is. It doesn't seem like a huge seller to a lot of people. So I wanted to see how that was on even their smaller stuff. But you know what? It's still a quality product by Benchmade. Phenomenal. I forgot to mention clip points. You could put it only tip up on left or right hand side. It is drilled and tapped for that. You can drill and tap it again. You'd have to put it really close to the blade. You see there's a little bit of spacing there on both sides, but not a whole lot of room. Just again a great knife, really good. It takes a beating actually. This N680 steel is not bad. Obviously not as good as N690 or M390 or just any of those steels, but you know, for a mid-grade steel, it's phenomenal. I'd really put this up there with the 13C26 Sandvik, 14C28, that kind of area. Right below the area between VG10, 154cm, S30V, that grade steel. I believe the RC on this is 58 to 60, so it's decently hard. It will chip versus roll, so watch out for that. No hitting on rocks or abusing it, but like I was stupid enough, I was batoning with this thing, which it worked kind of well. And it's just I flexed it a little bit and then tapped it, and because of this really shallow grind, it took a big, nice ovular chunk out. So just watch out for that. Yeah, don't be stupid like I was. Anywho, really phenomenally great knife. I highly recommend it if you're going diving and you don't want to shell out the money for a Salt series by Spyderco or something a little more rust resistant. N680 is a great knife for you, or a great knife steel. I'd really look into it. Not really much else I can say about this. It's just we'll see how time takes on it, but it seems to hold up quite well. So again, phenomenal knife. I highly recommend it. This is the Benchmade 111 diving folder. Alright guys, I hope you had a good time. Have a nice day.